Well, hey there, guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, we're making a creepy haunted skeleton swing. Well, as you guys know, my wife and I absolutely love Halloween, and this year we want to make a different kind of prop. We've been wanting a prop like this for a while, but we just haven't gotten around to making it. So that's what we're going to do this year. And what it is kind of like a creepy skeleton on a swing. We're hoping to animate it, we're hoping to motorize it, but we're having some issues with the motor, so we're going to have to wait and see how that goes. But for now, we're going to get into making the actual prop of the skeleton on a swing. Well, it's kind of hard to make a creepy haunted skeleton swing without the swing. And I'm kind of cheating a little bit on this. I had this swing given to me and I didn't really have a use for it because I already have a swing for my granddaughter, and this one's kind of a light duty. It's actually about 6 inches wide, 16 inches long, and it's half an inch thick. So this is the swing that we're going to use. Now, guys, it's very easy if you want to make your own swing. It's just a little bit of rope. Don't worry about these fancy connectors. You don't need those. A little bit of rope through a solid board with the dimensions I just gave you, and you'll end up pretty much with exactly what I have here. So the first thing we want to do is, I guess I want to hang this from the ceiling of my shop. Okay, so we have the swing mounted to the ceiling of the shop. I'm so tempted to sit in this, but I know it's not going to hold me, so I'm not going to. But we need to get our skeleton figure mounted on this swing. So what we have for a skeleton is this. We got this little set from the dollar store. It's just kind of some creepy hands and the skull that you stick in your garden, but we're going to use it for the hands and the skull of our swing. So let's get this open and we'll start by shaping our hands. So the first thing we're going to start off with is shaping the hands. Now, we need to shape these plastic hands. You gotta remember, these are from the dollar store. They're not the highest quality, but we need to shape these so that they're going to wrap around the rope and hold this rope. They don't have to be perfect. It just needs to look good from a distance. But as well, nobody holds a swing like that. They hold it kind of like this. So we're going to need to shape the hand kind of like this configuration as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to head over to the bench and we're going to fire up the heat gun. So I have a little bit of 3/4 inch EMT conduit here that I am going to form the hand around. I know it's going to be a bigger profile than what we need for the rope, but it gives me something to form it around. I also have gloves on, guys. This plastic is going to get hot. So we're going to use the heat gun and just slowly heat this up until it gets pliable. Okay, I have the hand shaped pretty much the way I want. Depending on how much you heat it, you're going to get quite a bit of deformity in the fingers, but that's okay. I wouldn't worry about it. In the grand scheme of the whole decoration, you're not really going to notice that. I still want to bend this wrist, but I'm a little concerned about it, seeing how thin this plastic is and how much it deformed. So I'm going to try to heat just this section right here and maybe bend the hand down into itself. We don't need a lot of shape, just a little bit to make it fit better on the rope. Guys, once this thing starts getting wobbly, it's almost ready to shape. So don't mess around too much once it starts to wobble, because it'll really start to melt. All right, so I'm going to let that cool, and then we'll take it over and we'll test it on our rope. So there is our wrist kind of bent forward like that. It's a little deformed in this area, but I'm not too concerned about it in the grand scheme of the project. So we can connect it here like this, and I'll just give you a profile. You can see how it's going to hold the rope and how the skeleton will be holding it there on the swing. So this is the right hand. We'll get the left hand done. Maybe we'll get Mrs. Kenny to melt that one up, and we'll move on once we get the second hand shaped. Okay, so we have both of our hands done. I did this one, Mrs. Kenny did that one. They both look great. We now need to kind of insert them into arms, and for arms, we're going to use pool noodles. So let me just show you with one of these what we're going to do. I'm going to insert this. Now this is going to be a tight fit, but we're going to insert this several inches up, just like this, to give it a little bit of girth. And then I'm going to place a cable tie around here, which is going to hold this nub of the bone right here from being able to be pulled out of the pool noodle. So we'll just cinch that up around the end of the pool noodle. Now I'm going to show you a way to make an elbow. You see a lot of guys on the internet where they cut a 45 or whatever angle, and they bend it, they glue it, contact cement and that sort of thing. There is another way to do it, and I think it looks a little better. So we're just going to measure here back 6 inches, and that will put us beyond where our arm is in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to bend this sharply, just like this. And we're going to place a cable tie right around the elbow joint. And we're going to pull that snug. And you'll see it kind of forms like an elbow nub there as opposed to just a corner. So that will be the elbows of our creepy skeleton. So let's get the other one done, and then I'll show you what to do next. Well, before we carry on with more of the assembly, I want to cut these pool noodles. I've cut them in half to give us something easier to work with, but we need to cut it off for the shoulder. Now, if you compare it to your own hand, the shoulder actually ends somewhere around this section of the hand. So we're not going to get too technical. We're going to fold this up, and right there, we're going to cut this pool noodle off, and we're just going to use an X-Acto knife. Guys, these things will cut very quickly through this, but just take your time and you'll get a nice even cut. And we'll do the same thing to our other arm, we'll call it, and then I'll show you what I have in mind. We're going to need a few pieces of 2x4. Well, I have a short length of 2x4, and what I've done is I've just taken some tie wraps, placed around here. The cable ties have pulled the elbow and the arm in together, just to give us an idea of how it's going to look and to allow us to get a measurement here on the shoulders, because I'm thinking we need to use this 2x4 to mount the arms and as well mount the head. So if we have our arms like this, I'm just wondering, is the shoulders, or are the shoulders too wide at this point? Do we need this a little more narrow? So let's take a measurement here from one arm to the next to see how we want these arms positioned. If you could hold that one, and we'll see how, wow, contortionist.
Apparently I can't hold it.
So we'll see how wide we want this 2x4 to be. So it looks like we're going to say about 7 inches. So let me cut this to 7 inches. And what we're going to do is we're going to mount a couple of eye bolts in each end of our 2x4. So we have our shoulders. We're just going to take a cable tie about 1 inch down from the top. You can just pierce it through just like that. And we're going to pull it out through the top. And then we can just connect it to our eye bolts that are on our 7-inch long piece of 2x4. Now guys, I've also in the top drilled a hole. In this case, it's 9/16 in diameter. And this is going to house the head. So let's just get these shoulders in place. And you don't need to tighten these up a lot. We actually want a little bit of movement. They're just to keep things together. So if there's movement here, that's just fine. We're okay with that. So this hole here, as I said, is going to mount the head. So I've taken a little piece of the pool noodle, cut it off to give it a little bit of girth on the neck. And we can just squish our head down, just like that, into our shoulders. Now all we need
is a spine.
So I've cut a 2x4 to 16 inches, which we think will be about right for proportions. And I'm just going to use some L brackets and some 3/4 inch screws to attach our shoulders to our spine. So now with our shoulders attached to our 2x4 spine, I've drilled some pilot holes here in the seat, and using some number 10 by 1/2 inch screws and some used L brackets, I'm just going to attach our spine to the seat. From there, we can do some final shaping of our arms and hands. Well, our skeleton's leaning a little bit back. It's doing a power swing pump, but that's okay. We're going to fix that. We still have legs to add, but what I want to do is we need to get our hands attached to our ropes so that they're not sliding down. So what we're going to do is we're going to line them up in the position that we want. I'm going to mark on either side of the hand with a Sharpie, just a dot. We're going to drill a small 3/16 diameter hole on each of those marks, and we're going to use a black tie strap to hold this in place where we want it. We'll do that for both hands. Well, we still need to add legs, but we don't want to do that until we get its outfit on. So we have this white sheer kind of a dress thing that we're going to dress over top of this. After we did this, we realized, oh man, now we got to cut off these shoulder joints. Thank goodness they're just a tie strap. So we're going to get this dressed in its outfit, and then we can figure out the legs. Well, we've decided we don't like the scrawny body. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some coat hangers and shape them into a rib cage. Something like that. We'll drill into the side of the 2x4, building a rib cage partway down just to give it a little bit of shape underneath the dress. Chances are I'm going to coat that with duct tape just to fill it out a little bit. And we have a second outfit like this that we're going to place over top and possibly try to hide what's underneath, because this material here is very sheer. Okay, and I'm going to continue to fill this in and hopefully give the body some shape. So we filled out the coat hanger frame with duct tape just to give it a bit of shape, and it goes a long way to making the body look a little better. You got the high shoulders of the skeleton as well as the rib cage that kind of sticks out, with this here kind of being hollow. As well, this pulling this out hides our 2x4. We're still going to double up on the material, and we're still going to apply old white socks to our arms, but we're going to continue to get this dressed. As well, at the back, we're going to need to put a slice in the outfit so that the material can be over top of this 2x4 and hang out the front. Once we get that done, at that point, I'm going to show you guys how we're going to do the legs. So what we've got here is another pool noodle, and I'm going to make a knee joint. So we're going to fold this over just like what we did the elbows, and we're going to pull it in tight with these tie straps to give us a knee joint. From there, we're going to need to cut it off. We don't need any leg hanging down the front of the swing. So let me get this tightened up and I'll show you what I have in mind. Okay, so we've bent over the knees and cut them off short, and then we've put an old sock over top to hide the green pool noodle. Kind of looking a little like Captain Dan from Forrest Gump right now. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark on either side of these legs, and I'm going to drill a hole in the down through the seat of the swing, and we're going to secure these in place with some tie straps. So my idea of the tie wraps down through the swing doesn't work because our dress is in the way. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to get in here, get a screw inside of this pool noodle with a fender washer, and we'll just screw it in right to the side of our 2x4 here, and that'll hold them both in place, and the fender washer should keep the screw from pulling through. Okay, and we'll just pull down her,
look at the bottom,
her dress now over top of her legs. There you go. Okay, so there is one more thing here that we need to do to complete our skeleton on a swing. And that would be, we need to add some hair. So just before we do the hair, I have painted the pool noodle section for the neck, painted it white with a little bit of acrylic paint. And we'll just sit that in place here on the neck. Okay, and now it's time to add the hair. So for the hair, we just have this inexpensive Halloween wig. And we're just going to place this over top of our skeleton. We're probably going to have to use some kind of double-sided tape or something to hold it in place because that skull is so slippery. But there we go. Check that out. How creepy is that going to be hanging in the yard? And there you have it. A haunted skeleton swing Halloween decoration thingy. Guys, these projects are a lot of fun. This one took a lot of messing around. We had to really finagle and try to get it looking right. And each time we tried something, it didn't look right, so we had to modify it and move on. The key to take away from this is that we didn't just give up and abandon the project. We just persevered and tried something different, whether it be for the legs or whether it be for the way the dress fit, or whether the chest, the ribs with those pieces of coat hanger wire and then the duct tape to fill it in. There's always a method that you can use. Now, I would really like to have had this thing animated where it would swing on its own, but that wasn't in the cards for me today. I do have some motors that I think I can possibly use to do that, but unfortunately, they are either way too slow or way too fast. So I'm going to have to make some gears, maybe on the scroll saw, to try to amp up or reduce the speed. I haven't decided which way I'm going to go yet, but hopefully we're going to get this thing animated, and hopefully I'll bring that to you on the show here. And while by the time I bring it to you, it may be too late for you to do it for this year's Halloween, maybe you can get the static swing made, and then on next year's Halloween, you could do the animation of it, and that could be cool as well. Guys, all in all, I think this whole thing cost me about 20 bucks. So it's a far cry from the like $80 that they're asking for these in the stores. So just keep in mind, if there's a decoration that you like in the store for Halloween or for any other holiday, whether it be Christmas, Easter, what have you, you don't necessarily have to pay the inflated prices of the commercial ventures. You can always make your own. And in a lot of cases, especially like with this one, you end up with something that's extremely comparable, if not better. Either way, guys, give it a try. If you're into Halloween, this is one you got to add to your collection. Guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in this week. I hope you've enjoyed the program. If you haven't already, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. We have an amazing audience base, and I'm hoping that you're going to consider becoming a part of it. I want to thank you once again for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you're going to give this one a try. I hope you're going to get in there and, decorate for your Halloween and get those kids coming to your house to rejuvenate this holiday and give out some free candy, guys. But more importantly, I hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another Alternative Tuesdays.